Holy! What's good, everybody? It's your boy Romanpuss here with the brand new Heavenly Impact Coby, or whatever. I think that's right. Yeah, Heavenly Impact Coby, Homeboy Dark Attacker. He's a solid unit who basically runs around and revolves around his skill 1. It does kind of suck that his allies need to die to make it better, but it's fine. Overall, he's a solid unit. Nothing great, but not bad either. So if you're here to learn more about him and see some gameplay in general, then you're at the right place. But if you are not familiar with his skills or traits, make sure you take a look at those right now, as I will not be directly reading over them. So take a quick look. Alright, first things first is the stat recommendations. Being an attacker, he does have multi-hit attacks, which means he does hit more than the basic 3 times on his 3 basic attacks that you can press. So you're going to want to build attack. I do think attack defense will actually work better for him, as the meta is kind of starting to phase a little bit less with ignore defense and a lot more attack buffers, which defense kind of goes a little bit farther, especially since you have your 30% defense buff trait to assist you with this. Now this will help you fight many of the people that you're supposed to counter, such as Snake and things like that. So we'll get into the counters later, but for now I think generally attack and defense. Attack and HP is going to be fine. If you only have 14% traits to work with, then build 70% attack and then put the rest in defense. I think maybe actually HP if you're lower level support and whatnot. So it's up to you. I think generally, just as long as you have attack, if you only have 14%, you're probably just going to get one shot, whether you have attack or HP or defense as a secondary trait, because that's how the game works. It's just a lot of one-shotting, so just be prepared for that. Moving on. All right, let's talk about the pros. What makes Coby good? Skill 1 is a monster in damage if it hits and hits all hits. It does hit 5 times. It hits about, I think, 510 is the overall base damage, and you can double that if you have the full 100% boost. So what is that? That's 1020, and then it gets a little extra damage if they're attacking a runner as well. So it goes a little bit of boost and can be an absolute monster. Now you do generally revolve around that, so make sure you land that. Do not waste that skill, and try to make sure the enemy does not have any invincibility or dodges up. Next, your defense buff, 30% defense buff, pretty helpful, it's useful, it's nice. And then you have up to 80% damage reduction. You have 30% for just being above 50% HP, and then you have an extra 50% if you were to take a large chunk of damage, which does generally happen, and this is also why I think defense is going to be the better route to take. Now, you are immune to status effects, stagger, debuffs, and you can clean debuffs off if you are above 50% HP, which is really nice and makes it so you can't just be kind of like bogged down by a lot of the debuffs that exist in the game currently. On top of that, you're generally a runner killer. You do a lot more damage to runners. You thrive against runners. So just realize that it is your job to generally kill the runners that are going around taking the flags. Now let's talk about the cons. If you whiff your skill 1, you'll more than likely lose your battle, whoever it is you'll be fighting, especially in this meta. So try not to miss that. That is your most important skill. If you miss it, you're screwed. It can really help you, and it turns the tides of battles. Like there is a Sanji, like even what an Egghead Sanji I fought before, he kind of clapped me. Not really clapped me, but he was able to beat me. But as soon as I was able to land my skill 1, I was able to destroy him. So there's things like that that happen and occur, and it just is there. Now, allies need to die for you to really benefit from a few traits. So allies, they heal you, they give you the extra damage on skill 1. There's a lot of benefits that you get from allies dying, which kind of sucks. So like if you have good allies who aren't dying, but if they're not able to do anything or take flags or anything, then you're not going to get anywhere. And it's going to kind of like be a bummer for you. But if they're dying, then you'll kind of heal. I don't know, in a way it's kind of a win-win situation, but it still kind of sucks that the damage increase comes from allies dying. So luckily, this game actually does come with a lot of deaths, so you're more than likely to have that be fully stacked on your skill 1 a lot of the time. Overall, you're skill 1 dependent. That is kind of your biggest like bottleneck. Now let's talk about the characters you are strong against. Red Yamato is 1. You have to be careful because she does do well against attackers, but you can kill her even on flags if she has the 1 HP trait because you ignore that. So that is very nice. You're able to destroy her. It is only for runners, so only people like Egghead Zoro and Yamato are the ones that you can kill with that 1 HP trait. You cannot kill someone like Odin. Light attacker Odin will not die because he's not a runner. Next, you have S Snake. You can destroy her if you land your skill 1 and do well. Now, she can definitely defend herself, so she can hold her own if you mess up. But for the most part, once he gets level 100, you will be able to fight her relatively easily as long as you land that skill 1. In general, for the characters that you are strong against, it's people who rely on defense buffs since you ignore defense, and many of the runners. So things like Bluno, Dark Uta, etc., etc. Any of the runners you should generally one-shot with your skill 1, and they should no longer be a problem because you have that extra damage increase, which makes it so any damage reduction that they have generally becomes less prevalent as well. Now let's talk about the Coby Counters. Who counters him and why? Now, many attackers can do well. I don't know if these are exactly counters because I don't know if he has any direct like #1 counters like this dude wins it 10 out of 10 times, because that's exactly what a counter is. But here's some notable characters that you need to watch out for when you're fighting. People like the Rogers are dangerous. Jabra as well, because he's got that shield. He does have the defense buff, and you can kind of smack him if you land the skill 1, but it's very easy for Jabra to just come back and kill you as well with his skills because they hurt so much. So just watch out for characters like that. It's pretty much just like 50-50 battles at this point, but it's one shot or be one shot is what the game is. I know I say this almost every guide video, but that's kind of just where the meta's at. So it is that way. In general, you're pretty killable by a few units, just mostly attackers. Runners aren't as much of a threat, but some may be able to dish out some hefty damage to you. Your major weaknesses, since we're talking about counters, the things that will kind of hurt you the most is percent damage. So like from Dark Roger, he can cut you for 50% of your HP. You don't have any way to supplement that, and your damage reduction doesn't matter because it's percentage HP. So watch out for that. Also things like multi-hitters like CP0 EX Lucci. He ignores defense, and he's a multi-hitter, so he can kind of whop because he's not hitting super hard where you get that extra 50% damage reduction. So he'll just kind of wither you down really quickly because he just hits multiple times instead of just one big hit. So watch out for things like that, as they can be dangerous and it can hurt you a lot. Lastly, let's talk about the medal recommendations. Now I want to make these a little bit more unique. Unfortunately, he's actually really similar to Garp, so a lot of the things kind of remain the same, but I do want to preface this with, in general, the traits that you should try and focus on are probably damage increase and skill 1 cooldown. Those are probably the most two important things. So if you do not have any of the medals on this sheet right here that you see in front of you, that is okay. Just try and look for those stats. So things like when you kill a unit, get 8% cooldown on your skill 1. Things like that will be ideal. And also just damage increase when you're on like an enemy flag. Those are very common medals, so see if you can find those amongst whatever you have to work with in your toolkit. It varies per player because they have different units with different metal fragments to utilize. So I just want to give that and provide that out for you guys. But as for the sheet in front of you, the first one up, I do have the Katakuri. It comes with damage increase, damage reduction. It's really good overall for fighting and attackers. The next is the enemy flag set. So you have the Goofy one, you have the Luffy and Lucci medal, and then you have the Egghead Luffy. That one just works really well overall. You get the knockback heal, lots of traits and tags that combine together. Works really well. The Kaido set I really do enjoy. You get the skill 1 cooldown on a kill. You get the skill 1 cooldown from getting hit. Now, overall, it's pretty solid, and I think the other one's damage increase on the enemy's flag. So you kind of get that skill 1 and that skill damage increase overall in that set. It really works well together. I do like it. The Boa set kind of does the same things, damage increase, some skill 1 cooldown. I think when you have more flags, correct me if I'm wrong on that, but the Boa set's always really good. There is an event medal that you could substitute in one of those slots as well. If you have that or access to that, that is an option as well. Check out whatever Boa sets. Just look for Boa Sisters tag and see what other options you have to work with on your account. And lastly is a pretty, I think, undervalued set that I don't know if I've seen many people use, but it's the Giant set. The Dory and the Broggy one come with like damage increase and damage reduction while you're above 70% HP. And then the last one is just, I think, extra knockback heal. Correct me if I'm wrong. I might be wrong on that one. That one might be damage increase or reduction or whatever as well. But I think it's a knockback heal. So you get a little of that. You get the tags. You get skill 1, skill 2 tags, and then the dodge or the capture speed. I don't know. You get like 4 triple tags on that, which is really, really nice. I think I might be missing 1 or 2, but it's fine. So the Giant set is also a pretty valid set as well. Remember, as always, you have to work with whatever you have on your account, and this varies, so this is not kind of a set in stone. These are just some solid options you could go on your Coby that you have and assume you have if you're watching this video. So that's all I have for you guys. I hope you guys found this video useful. Be sure to check out my Twitch, Twitter, Discord. Links are down in the description below. If you made it this far, I appreciate you as always for watching the video. And I'm your boy Romanpuss, and I'm going to be taking off. Yeah, hurley! Peace, beautiful people.